Senate Foreign Relations Committee will come to order. Let me first thank Ambassador Gina Abercrombie Winstonley, the Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer at the Department of State, as well as Chief Diversity Officer at USAID, Nena Diallo, for appearing before our committee today. I believe this is the first time the committee has held a hearing on this topic with senior department leadership dedicated to this issue. Our premier American foreign policy institutions must set the bar for others to follow, and harnessing the incredible diversity of the American people, our different points of view, backgrounds, and languages is crucial to not only our nation's security, but also our global economic and other interests. I've been working on efforts to promote diversity at the State Department and USAID now for more than 2 decades. And while I'm disappointed to say progress has been slow, I'm pleased to see both of you here today. Only last year, the head of the American Foreign Service Association said, quote, the State Department, quote, was more diverse in 1986, literally, than it is now. In the last 20 years, there has been a 2% decrease in the proportion of Black employees at the State Department, with the majority still in the civil service, and Latino numbers have barely budged. And USAID is no better, with 6% of its workforce Latino, while the Latino population of the United States overall is almost 19%. This year we are commemorating the Pickering Program's 30th, Rangel Program's 20th, and Payne Program's 10th anniversary, all programs created to increase diversity at our agencies. But as we commemorate, we need to know if these programs are actually accomplishing their goals. I can count on my fingers the number of ambassadors and mission directors who are people of color. So we've got a lot of work to do. Not fully utilizing the strategic advantage of America's diverse talent pool to engage our allies and counter our competitors and adversaries on the global stage is a vital error. And let me just give one example of that. I know some of our colleagues will probably be unhappy about today's hearing, but the reality is that when I was in China, our chief in China in charge of democracy and human rights programs was an African American who was an active participant in the civil rights struggle. His personal history, his personal eyewitness to the accounts of trying to change the course of events in our country were a powerful voice to those in China seeking to create an opportunity for themselves in terms of greater openings for democracy and human rights. I can recount easily over the course of 30 years of doing foreign policy, dozens of moments in different parts of the world where the few people that we have had who come from diverse backgrounds have been able to make a powerful case and liaison with the peoples of those countries where we are being represented. That cannot be purchased. That cannot be bought. And while it's an error in terms of where we've been at, I'm pleased to say this administration is trying to fix. It is also one that nations like Russia and China continue to exploit by using their propaganda tools to highlight the gap between our promises and rhetoric when it comes to racial justice and our actions. They paint us as hypocrites who talk a big game on equality and human rights, the very foundation of democracy, but say we don't deliver. Our diplomats are on the front lines of countering their narratives. We must modernize our diplomacy and development efforts to meet the demands of the 21st century. That means recruiting from all across America, from the cities and coasts of New Jersey to the border towns of Texas and Idaho. It means cultivating and retaining a diverse workforce that can take advantage of our nation's technology advances and keep up with other industries. It means ensuring workstations and foreign mission buildings are accessible for those with disabilities. And it means committing to increasing morale so that people aren't leaving mid-career after years of investment in extensive language and diplomatic skills. So let me be clear. As Chief Diversity Officers, you not only have the full weight of the White House and your leadership supporting you, I want you to know that many of us support you as well. I certainly do. That's why I'm launching a series of initiatives to advance the diversity legislation, resources, and recruitment pipelines we need to keep our nation competitive in global affairs for years to come. This is also an economic imperative. I often tell when I speak to the corporate leadership in our country about diversity, not for diversity's sake, but for the bottom line. Study after study shows that more diverse corporate boards and senior executive management means more profitability. And these are studies done by private entities. Also, as I tell groups as a simple example of the past, Chevrolet found out what diversity means when they tried to sell the Chevy Nova in Latin America. For those of you who don't know Spanish, when you pronounce Nova in Spanish, it means it won't move, it won't go. And so that's just a simple example. I don't care what type of marketing program you have, it's a car that says it's not going to move, it's not going to go, it's not going to sell. And so that's just one of many simple examples where, in terms of the economics of how to do business and get greater market share for our country, is incredibly important. So today I look forward to hearing from our witnesses on how they're advancing these goals at their agency. I also want to know what is needed to do your jobs effectively. And if you're not getting what you need, I want to know why. The clock is ticking. It's been a year and a half since these efforts began, and I want to see progress. Finally, to those who might be reticent to support these efforts, I want to point out that one of our other great institutions, the United States military, has long been a place where people of all backgrounds fight alongside each other, and where they can rise and an opportunity to be given, including the highest levels of our military. As a result, our military is the greatest fighting force in the world. Our diplomatic corps and our development program should be strengthened in the same way. We must, as diplomat and Nobel laureate Ralph Bunche once said, quote, adhere staunchly to the basic principle that anything less than full equality is not enough. With that, let me turn to the ranking member for his opening statement.